and we're going to just jump right in. We've both mentioned it already. WandaVision, episode 9, the finale of that limited series, happened. It dropped yesterday. And wow, it's only
Did.
been 2 weeks since we talked last about WandaVision, but it feels like forever because so
Yep.
much stuff was packed into episodes 8 and 9. I'm going to let you start it off. Let's just get right into it.
All right. Well, let's just go in order. Let's go with episode 8. So at the end of episode 7, Agatha reveals herself to be Agatha Harkness, the witch. And then in episode 8, kind of get a little backstory on her with how she like killed her entire troop of other witches because she's so powerful or evil or whatever. And then you kind of get this like, how did we get here scene, like episode. It's like we finally understand the sitcom references and what those mean to Wanda. You get to see a little backstory between her and Vision, and her and being an Hydra, and her interacting with the Mind Stone. And you also see like the little glimpse in when the Mind Stone explodes and it's all yellow. You see a little glimpse of her as a Scarlet Witch, which is pretty cool. I thought episode 8 was a good. It's a hard to say filler episode because I kind of thought that's what it was,
I know what you
but like
mean.
I understand the references and why it was there. But to end, to me the only thing that mattered besides like kind of the little winks and nudges of Agatha and the sitcoms and why she went to Westview was the ending of the episode when they have the Stark like bomb thing powered with Wanda's Scarlet Witch, the Chaos Magic. Um, and they shoot it to what is referred to White Vision. Just a little rundown on who White Vision is. White Vision, 1989 West Coast Avengers comics. Again, I'm also going to preference this. I did not know this. I'm not an encyclopedia, but I did my research here for this. 1989 West Coast Avengers comics. What happens is the government actually takes Vision and tears him apart, just like we saw in episode 8. But Hank Pym, from what we would know as Ant-Man and the Wasp, puts him back together. But they can't get him with his emotions. He's emotionless now, and in the comics, that's what causes Wanda and Vision to split, is because Vision's not really Vision. He, he's referred to as White Vision, just like essentially what he was supposed to be. So that was the big reveal in episode 8. What was your takeaways for episode 8? Anything big, or did I knock on all the bridges?
I think the biggest thing for me was like you kind of said, episode 8 was weird. You're left kind of at the end of episode 7 with this little bit of cliffhanger. Obviously, Agnes, however you want to refer to her, has captured Wanda, and Pietro has captured Monica. And you're kind of left with that little bit of cliffhanger, but you really don't. Episode 8 doesn't really iron any of that out in a way. You really only see the immediate kind of, I'm not going to say aftermath, that doesn't sound correct in terms of, because there wasn't any bad consequences really, but the whole episode is based around Agatha taking Wanda back through time to try to figure out the source of her power, right? Because Agatha wants that power. And so in a way, like you said, it's filler seems like the wrong word just because it downplays the importance of the episode, but it's a very interesting kind of just the whole eighth episode really is exposition in the middle, well, tail end of a series, which you don't get very often. And again, that goes back to the very unique and strong storytelling techniques that Marvel employs all the time. It was really great because they really caught you off guard. You expect something absolutely huge to happen in episode 8, but you don't get that then until episode 9 really. I just I didn't really have again any strong takeaways from 8 except in the grand scheme of things, that storytelling aspect was really unique.
So then we go to episode 9, and that's the big payoff, the big finale, and we get this big battle between White Vision and Vision, and we get this battle between Agatha and the Scarlet Witch or Wanda. We got to see Billy and Tommy come into play a little bit more. There's just, I felt like episode 9 had a lot going on in it. So it's hard to not sit here, and we're not a breakdown type of people where we break scenes down one by one. But big takeaways is we now have the Scarlet Witch, which is huge. I really want to see what happens with White Vision. See, I have a theory, and I'll spout out my theory when you get done talking.
Yeah, we'll save that for the tail end of this.
But like, I want to see what happens with White Vision. So disappointed. What they did in this series was they winked and nudged at all these little references, and they were so strategically placed. The one I get so mad at is Evan Peters' Quicksilver. It's just some random like no-name actor named Ralph Boner. Like, come on now. We get to see the first like real existence of Monica using her powers as Photon, dodging bullets. We get to see Agatha is now like in imprisonment of her own because of what she has done. I liked the little rune thing to trap her. I thought that was really clever. I did tear up a bit at the end. I'm not even gonna lie to you, when like she has to say goodbye to everybody, like, because she's letting go. In a sense, she's letting go. It appears she's letting go, but I don't think that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad evil FBI sword dude, I can't remember his name right now. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah,
you know who I'm talking about.
I want to say it's Hawthorne. No, is that his last name? I don't remember.
What?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm glad he got his comeuppance. I'm glad he's not around. I think obviously there's 3 huge takeaways in this episode. The Vision White Vision battle, where Vision like essentially turns on White Vision's memories, which was really cool. See, in the comics, what actually happens is there are several other kind of superheroes like Wonder Man. So like in the comics, Wonder Man's emotions and mindset are implanted in the Vision. Well, and when White Vision comes around, Wonder Man is like, nah, I don't want to do that again. So they have to take it from somebody else. So that's the loop around in there to get White Vision his emotions and memories back. I thought that was cool. I have a theory on what happens to him. I was so surprised to see a Skrull in this series. I was not expecting it. And I love the wink and nudge that they gave to Fury when they said, hey, he heard you were grounded down here. He wants to have a talk with you. I thought that was funny. But then the final end credit scene, the one that, boom, is supposed to set off everything. You get this Doctor Strange-esque feel with it, where she's projecting herself so people don't bug her. But in reality, what she's doing is studying and reading the Darkhold. Darkhold's another big thing I've glossed over, but the Darkhold, which is like a book, I don't know how to word it, that has a lot of information on the Scarlet Witch and what her powers are and what she can do. And at the end, you see her scrolling and you hear "Mom" like from Billy, and I was like, "Oh shit, dude!" I got so excited. I was like, I thought they were done, but to hear it, and now I'm like, oh, I now understand what the Multiverse of Madness is. A lot of big things happen in this episode. No surprise cameos from anybody, which was a huge disappointment. Because they kind of teased it up, and I hate Paul Bettany for it.
I was wondering when you were going to get to this. This was hilarious to me.
Here's my fucking rant, right? Paul, all seasons, like, this actor I've wanted to work with my whole life, and we have just great chemistries, dropping all these hits and bombs, right? And everyone's like, "Oh, is it Magneto? Is it Ian McKellen? Is it Doctor Strange? You know, Benedict Cumberbatch?" Nope, nope. It's just himself.
It's himself
He's
in different makeup. It's lovely.
It's great. Overall, I was satisfied with the conclusion, although there was no surprises or really big like plot twist to go towards in the future. It's what Marvel is really good at is planting seeds and letting them grow and sprout into massive trees. That's what happened with the first 3 phases of Marvel or the MCU. They plant these little seeds, and then there's a big payoff. So I'm glad they planted this seed, because this won't update, like, update's the wrong word. We won't get a conclusion of this until March of next year.
Yep.
So we have to wait. But I'm truly excited. What were your takeaways? What interests you? Piqued your curiosity?
Obviously, you covered a lot there, so I'm not gonna try to double back and override anything you said. The one, you know that I'm typically not the bearer of the bad news or anything like that on here. However, the one thing that just bugged me once we got to the end, right, is I felt that among all of the kind of supporting characters, the kids, Jimmy Woo,
Yep.
and Darcy, like, you have all these kind of like very integral pieces, but the one that really stood out among them was Monica, right? And then we got that she is now discovering her powers, but she, in my mind, like, she just really wasn't involved. They built all this up, and then she had like 3 minutes of screen time in the last hour plus of the whole series. It felt a little unsatisfying in that way. That's the one thing that stood out to me that you didn't mention. Is I understand we're probably going to get more of her moving forward, and that's great. But outside of her interaction with Ralph Boner, everyone's favorite, and then her stepping in to save the kids there very briefly, like, that was pretty much it. And that felt a little unsatisfying to me. I'd be interested to see what you thought about that.
So with that, I think the two really big things, again, it was a seed planter because she has much more of a role with Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And I assume she's going to have a huge role, or at least a pretty decent sized role, in a character called Miss Marvel. She is like a teenager. She was just like created. It sounds weird. Created in 2014. So she's relatively new, but has made a huge impact so far. So I assume she'll be in there more. But I get the little references, winks and nods, and sword and all that stuff. I can agree with you. I was kind of disappointed, but like, I know that I'm gonna see more of her.
Yeah.
In Captain Marvel, and so I'm okay with that. I guess it was. I guess I'm not shocked, but as you are, surprised. But I do wish she had just like an extra couple minutes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
To really fill out the exposition and for her story.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is they spent all of this energy, right? More so than any of those other. That's what I was getting at. Any of those other ancillary characters, they spent more time on her. And then it felt like she honestly was probably the least prominent of them, except maybe Darcy. You know, we saw Darcy for all of 14 seconds. It felt like. So outside of Darcy as one of those characters, she felt like she had the least real importance here in the last 2 episodes. And so that part, again, I was surprised in a way, and I understand that since all of this is intertwined, we are going to see more of her. I'm not, angry about it per se. It just felt a little weird to me that I was just kind of expecting more of her character, because she was the one that, she sacrificed herself to go back into the Hex and try to right the situation. And then she really wasn't even a major part of the conclusion.
You know, I get your frustrations there. Like if I look back on it, I can kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
because like really she's like the third most, like probably I wouldn't say third, I'd say like the fourth most important character, like integral to like the entire show. Because when you really get it down, it's
It's Wanda
Vision,
one.
Wanda, and
You probably, you know, for different reasons, you could definitely put either Vision or Agatha slash Agnes at two. They you know, at different points they're 2 and 3 in some order,
yeah,
and then Monica's fourth. Like she really is,
yeah,
right? And the fourth most important character in a nine episode, right? So
mhm.
5 hours almost worth of content. She just basically didn't exist there toward the end. It was really really odd,
Yeah.
especially when like
I
nothing
agree with
bad
you.
happened to her, right?
Yeah, really at the end, it's like she just gets like trolled by a scroll. But what I'm curious, and it was another weak nod, is like who is a scroll and who's not a scroll. One thing that um is like, so you had the Infinity War saga.
Yes.
The next biggest thing is Secret Invasion, and that's a whole where scrolls kind of feel like they're alienated per se, and you have to eliminate them, and you get this whole. They do this whole thing where they transform themselves into like superheroes, like Marvel superheroes, like Wanda and Captain America, Spider-Man, and you can't tell which one is which because you know they're trying to disrupt what's going on. So I think that's interesting. Overall, I was pleased with the series. I think going forward, like the next two are Falcon and Winter Soldier, and that's more of a buddy cop. I don't think there'll be a lot of like winks and nods to WandaVision. I do believe though in Loki, there will be a little bit more winks and nods to what they're doing, just because it deals with time and space and all that crap. It overall good series. I'm not hating it. I get why people it wasn't their cup of tea because it was different. But if you can sit down, Kevin Feige, you said 5 hours. Kevin Feige said all of these series will be 6 hours long, either 9 episodes at about a half hour, 45 minutes, or 6 episodes at an hour. So Falcon and Winter Soldier, it'll be 6 episodes, each about an hour long.
All right.
So I thought that was good. Here's my theory. I'm gonna spout off my theory.
Before
I'll
you do your
fourth,
theories and spin off, you know, get the tinfoil hat on. I will say I know that this section, right? We talked about the first handful of episodes, then 6 and 7, and now this one. Easily, this one I came off on this podcast as having the most negative tone about. However, that was just because I was letting Denver do the you know, the big stuff, right? Like I said, I didn't want to step on his toes. I really really enjoyed this series. You know, it wasn't super apparent early on. We talked about this. I'll just gloss over it again. Wasn't super apparent early on where it was going, but once it got on track, it was really really entertaining. It really sets things up, as Denver's probably going to get into with his tinfoil hat theories here. What's coming next? It was very easy to watch, you know, after those first two kind of setup episodes. And so I don't want it to be misconstrued that I did not like the series. I absolutely did. And if you're a Marvel fan, I think you know, even if you're like a fringe Marvel fan, you have to like gut it out and watch this, even if you didn't think after the first couple it was your cup of tea. It's really, you know, this was really important, is to start off the next phase on a good note, and you know, with a quality sort of something, whether it was a feature film or a series like this. And I think that they did a great job.
Okay, so my tinfoil hat theory. Here it is. So at the end of the episode, you get this little. She's like reading the Darkhold, and she hears someone scream, "Mom." Here's what I think is gonna happen. She's gonna go through. Oh, and I glossed over this. They did name drop Doctor Strange as Sorcerer Supreme. because that's what his name is. He's a Sorcerer Supreme, and they did make it very clear that the Scarlet Witch is more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme himself. So, I assume what is going to happen is she is going to go through all of these different multiverses looking for her kids. She is going to cause lots of mayhem because, you know, when you go to a different universe, you can't screw anything up or it screws up the entire timeline, right? So she's going through all these things, and then Doctor Strange is like, wait a minute, I'm the Sorcerer Supreme, I can stop her, and he doesn't know that the Scarlet Witch is a thing, and she and him duke it out. I assume they duke it out. They find the kids. I still believe Mephisto's in this. I'm still gung-ho that Mephisto is going to end up being the real villain because the children are pieces of Mephisto himself. Okay. And I think what happens is they get there and they're like, I'm not sure what to do. So they go get Agatha because she says, I'll come get you if I need you type of thing. Agatha is her, and they have like it's like Tom and Jerry. Like, they fight all the time, but they're still friends. Like, that's how it is in the comics. So they go get Agatha, but it all ends when White Vision appears because White Vision disappears. Once he gets his memory, he's like, I have to go. And he just goes, and you don't see him the rest of the episode. So I think he comes back and he's like, Wanda. And then she's like, Vision, and he knows who he is and his memories because this Vision turned him on for him. And she's like, gets her family back. That's what she wants. She uses her powers for good, but I think in this one she's a primary villain, looking for her kids. Marvel's really good at making their villains have a justifiable reason for everything they do.
That's true.
Like Thanos. Thanos, he's a villain, but you can kind of see what in
a really twisted way. You like are kind of conned into believing in what he's saying, right?
Exactly.
In a really, yeah.
So I think the same thing happens with Wanda. I think she goes full Scarlet Witch from this point on, by the way. I don't think we hear her name often unless it's from like Vision or maybe like right away, like Wanda, and she's like, no, I'm the Scarlet Witch. Like, I'm the most powerful being. And I'm glad they made that very clear.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was one of the things is she can do whatever she wants. You don't mess with this chick. So that's my theory. I think she goes through all of these universes and she starts setting up these big things in later movies that will come back to haunt Doctor Strange and Vision and Wanda and whomever, because she does not, like Agatha said, she does not know her true power. Like, even though she's starting with the Darkhold, right? She really doesn't know what she can do. She's reading it, but until she does it, she won't know. Like, in the episode, they come at, like, all of the people from Westview come at her, and then she just freaks out and then chokes them all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm on this boat that it's Mephisto, but the movie is going to make you think that the Scarlet Witch is the bad guy. She's the one who's going to destroy everything. Ultimately, that's my theory for this. I think this is where it goes. Leads to like multiverse, like true multiverse stuff from this point forward. And it sets up Scarlet Witch and at least Doctor Strange as the next two core components in their Avengers team, whatever that looks like. I don't see them going on without those two as like the main focal points because they are so powerful together. So that's my theory. That's what I'm thinking. And I think I'm pretty accurate on she's going to go through all these multiverses to try to find her kid. Because she's like,
sense,
she heard mom.
It would make sense.
So that's my batshit theory on what's going on going forward. But I don't know if you have one or not, but that's definitely what I'm thinking is going on.
I mean, we've talked about it already, right? I'm the one of the two of us that I'm a really big fan, but I take these things as they come. One thing I do want to say, though, that it never really it's not even something that I had thought about, because it just, we used the terms Wanda and Scarlet Witch kind of interchangeably, or at least I have, right? When really that was incorrect up until the last episode of this, right? Like we knew from the time that she appeared in Age of Ultron in whatever year that was, 2014 maybe. That's just kind of a guess.
Yep.
That it's like, oh yeah, she's Wanda Maximoff. She's a Scarlet Witch. But there's an asterisk there that really we didn't. I mean, you and I in casual conversation have also referred to her as the Scarlet Witch, and it just is what it is. But really, she was, right, because it's always been within her. But she doesn't think of herself, and nobody else really recognizes her as that necessarily until now. And so that part, we glossed over that, and I totally spaced on it when I was talking. But that, I think, is actually really important, right? Is I think a lot of people could fall into that category that we did, where, again, we used those terms interchangeably throughout the last 5 to 7 years. And no, she's just now really fulfilling the role of Scarlet Witch. I don't know, kind of interesting to think about.
Yeah, and with that, I'm going to tell you to any viewers who are watching or listening, if you haven't checked out the series, please go check it out. It's long term going to be kind of crucial to what goes on forward. Kevin Feige said that every show has a purpose to a movie moving forward, so it's kind of critical in a sense. You go watch it, but no rush, no hurry. Make sure you get it in there. Overall, very enjoyable series. I can't wait to start talking Captain. I assume we're gonna do Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I'd love to. I'm a big fan of like the Winter Soldier. Like, I'm pretty much all in on the fact that Captain America and the Winter Soldier is the best non-Avengers movie in the series. I think that movie is excellent. And feel free to disagree, but so I'd love to see both Falcon and the Winter Soldier get a little more shine, which they're going to get right here. They're going to get their opportunity. You can't deny that they're going to be the focal points of it, right? They named the damn thing after them, so I hope they do it justice.
Yeah, I do too. So with that, we'll move on to our next segment. But go check it out if you haven't. It's awesome. We enjoyed it. I think you will too.
Absolutely. That was a great conversation. And if anyone's watching this, or listening after the fact, which we hope you are, go onto our YouTube or hit us up on Twitter and talk with us about this. We'd love to. We will talk about this crap all day, right? We'll for sure respond to any comments on YouTube. If you hit us up in the Twitter DMs or just straight up add us on Twitter, we'll respond. I hope relatively quickly, kind of thing. We just want to talk, right? It's a good time.
Yeah, just community, man.
Alrighty, folks, we are moving on. No more WandaVision, but we'll get back to the Marvel stuff because it's 2 weeks is all before.
Yep, 2 weeks
before episode 1. Cool. We have something to look forward to in the content cycle, baby. All right, let's go.